Joined now by Ben Branson. The man has been referred to as the Godfather of the non-alcoholic spirits world. Thank you for joining us. Before we talk about all the other things you're doing, is that a fair characterization? I mean, what do you make of
Whoa,
the fact that you've been referred to in that way?
that's a pretty that's a pretty big claim someone's making there that I can't say I've made myself, Dan.
But you were an
Yeah,
early adopter. You were an early adopter, right?
definitely. I've been thinking and working in non-alc for 12 years, which is longer than most people can say, I guess.
And how did you get started in it?
I got started literally nothing to do with drinks. So I started growing herbs at home, living in the countryside, and looking into natural history and herbal remedies and that whole rabbit warren, and later deciding based on an absolutely disgusting pink, fruity, sweet, dreadful syrup, yucky mocktail that maybe we needed some decent options if you weren't drinking alcohol for whatever reason. And that thought happened in 2013. And then it was 2 years to create Seedlip.
Would you say that the quality of the drinks that you are creating are significantly better today than they were 10 years ago, or just different?
I think I guess the ingredient supplier, the processes, techniques with which you can make non-alcoholic liquids now are definitely different from where they were 10 years ago. I started Seedlip in my kitchen with a little copper still, and there's now 1,000 non-alc brands out there. So there's it is easier, or should be easier, to make great quality liquids now, given there's a category and there's suppliers. People know a lot more about it. Um, am I making better liquids now? Yeah, I think I am, and that's not because Seedlip weren't great liquids, but I know a bit more now, and I'm able to push a little bit further, I think.
You're a student of history. You love sort of bringing this all back. Do you think that if you were put 400 years ago, that you would be able to make some of the drink with the stuff that was available then? Would you be able to make a quality liquid back then?
Yeah, I would. I love the 17th century so much. The 17th century is where all good things happened, including my family. We started farming 320 years ago. And when I look back at, these apothecaries and these alchemists who are making medicine, ultimately making non-alcoholic medicine and alcoholic medicine using distillation, and I think about what's changed in distillation, well, actually not a huge amount. And so access to herbs and spices, happy days in the 17th century, access to copper and metal workers, no problem. Maybe Seedlip wouldn't be that relevant in the 17th century, but
Yeah.
could have a go.
All right. Now, I read that you are not a huge fan of just trying to mimic current spirits, right? Calling it a non-alcoholic gin or a non-alcoholic rum. Why?
I think there is so much opportunity when you look at the fact there are 47,000 edible plants on this planet that I'm not sure why you'd want to try and copy or imitate something else. I think what we try and do, and this is with all three of my brands, is balance some familiarity with some freedom. And so Seedlip didn't contain juniper. We didn't call it a gin, but you served it with tonic or in a martini or in a gin-based kind of cocktail. Similarly with Silver, we're not trying to copy a whiskey, but we are aiming at that occasion when you want something maybe just over ice, something to sit and sort of sip and slow down with. But we get the freedom to be able to work with loads of different techniques and loads of different ingredients. And to be honest, the alcohol brands, they now have 0% versions,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yep.
so if the consumer wants a replica, like They can buy that from some of the biggest alcohol brands in the world now. And therefore, I'm not sure there's a need for new brands to try and go after that.
What do you think of where the non-alc movement is today?
Well, if I wind you back, not 400 years, let's come out of the 17th century, but if I wind you back, to 2015, so 10 years ago, you could get O'Doul's, you could probably get Beck's Blue, you could definitely get a blend of fruit juices and syrups, maybe with an umbrella if you were lucky. You could get soda, sparkling water, or a juice. Like those were the options. And I'm talking globally, those were the options. Fast forward, we've got what I think the latest report is this category will hit $30 billion this year. We're 2.5% or so of a two and a bit trillion-dollar industry in alcohol. So the headroom's enormous, but you've got 1,000 brands, you've got an ecosystem of influencers, journalists, suppliers, etc. Like this category has now formed and is, yeah, in huge growth.
You mentioned that you have three brands. You talked briefly about two of them in Seedlip and Silva. Talk to us about the difference between the three brands that you have.
So Seedlip is a distilled non-alcoholic spirit. It's a kind of clear spirit, so it's more in that gin, vodka, tequila kind of occasion and cocktails, and uses botanicals. Silva is an aged non-alcoholic spirit made from grain and trees at our distillery here in the UK. And Season is our pair of cocktail bitters. They're 0.0% that are your kind of salt and pepper for drinks. So put them in your soda or in your cocktails, full on, very intense flavor in two different varieties.
Do you do a lot of tasting of other people's brands to see what they're doing and how they're doing it?
I do actually. I just ordered 5 bottles earlier today of some new stuff that's come out. I have a wall that you can't see that's, yeah, covered in them. I'm keen to explore what's out there and I'm keen to see what's going on in the category and read the reviews and see the feedback and understand, yeah, what's good and what's not.
Any favorites? Any things that you think, other folks you think who are doing interesting or good stuff?
Yeah, we haven't done anything in the kind of wine occasion. But there are brands like Non or Murray, who are doing really great stuff. Two ladies from Scotland just flew down to come and see me last Friday, and they've been fermenting tea and yeah, making a beautiful kind of sparkling wine style product. So I think there's kind of some interesting stuff when people are not de-alcoholizing going on in the wine space. The beer world now in non-alc beer is so good and so dramatically different. The likes of Athletic, we've got Lucky Saint here in the UK, Big Drop Brewing, Mash Gang. There's some really good players in that space. So yeah, the quality is definitely come on leaps and bounds.
And now you got a venture studio?
Yeah, well, it's sort of it's a very grandiose term, isn't it? For basically, we've got a portfolio of my ideas that we're commercializing, and we started with two, and they're both going very well. And so, right now, for the moment, that's enough.
Has anything changed for you? You've sold business. You've made some money doing this now. Anything changed from the farmer who started this well over a decade ago?
I think I'm still very happy at the beginning where it's messy and unknown and scrappy. I am never been more excited about trees and how much flavor is in trees and the possibilities there when you've got 73,000 tree species on the planet and just how little people know about the flavor and taste and kind of flavor profiles you've got with trees. I'm still really curious, I guess, and I'm really curious only actually when you boil it right down about one thing, and that's how do we socialize and how are we going to socialize? Because I think we can spend a lot of time thinking about our products and the category and drinks brands, but actually it's all in service of how people socialize. And we've seen how that's changing and going to change. And so that's what kind of I'm never going to get to the end of this story, but it keeps me interested.
If I had interviewed you in 2015, would you be surprised that an event like Drinks with Benefits, with 800 attendees and 60 plus sponsors with major restaurants, et cetera, is going to exist in New York City?
Yeah, I would be surprised, partly because a lot of what I heard was that I was a lunatic for wanting to create a non-alcoholic spirit, or that this would never sell a bottle or never go anywhere, or what's the point? And I know those are phrases that every single person who has made a non-alcoholic product has heard. And so the fact that, yeah, we now have this kind of global movement, and that in New York, of all places, yeah, people are going to flock to an event that's focused on non-out drinks in that world. Yeah, I would be very surprised if you told me that 10 years ago. I'd be very hopeful that it was going to happen, but I would also be very surprised if you were tipping up and telling me it was happening.
Yeah. But the old you probably would be like, yes, this is great.
Yeah, cool.
And they're going to call me the Godfather too. Say, hey, it's a double win, right? A, I'll be the Godfather, and B, it like actually became something huge. Unbelievable.
I
Yeah.
think it's proof. Lots of people can create, you can create a product, right? And you can put it out there in the world. But an event where people are actually going to come to, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Ben Branson, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.